Today I want to talk about my recent adventures hosting visitors in Japan and some of the difficulties that we had trying to decide what to eat. Of course, there are many very delicious, tasty foods in Japan. But considering the fact that I'm not Japanese, I don't always know what's best to recommend. I recently hosted two visitors. One was an adult and one was a child. We had a lot of fun together overall, but I think when it came time to decide what to eat, there were a few difficulties. The first problem is that I wouldn't say I'm a picky eater, but I have a very specific diet now. I basically follow what is referred to as an animal-based diet. It means I primarily eat animal products. I avoid eating carbohydrates generally, but I'm not overly specific about it. So for example, if there's a sugary sauce like a teriyaki sauce, I may have it. I also eat sweets such as ice cream. As for the visitors, the adult was actually, well, let's call her Jo, was quite willing to try things and was very open to eating lots of things while in Japan. But my recommendations were not necessarily meeting Jo's expectations. So for example, there are lots of foods that are very popular in Japan right now that don't really scream Japanese food to people who aren't from Japan or people who haven't been in Japan for a while. Such foods include karage, which is fried chicken. It's a very specific kind of fried chicken here in Japan. It's incredible and I miss it, but I don't really consume vegetable oils anymore either. And there are other foods such as ramen and udon, noodle dishes, and curry. She seemed very surprised at the hamburger patty, the hambag. I had that quite a bit because it's easy. I understand there are ingredients other than animal products in them, but again, like I said, I'm not so overly picky about it. Basically, if it doesn't make my stomach hurt, then I'll give it a shot. Now, for the third member of the group, is a very young child in elementary school, and a very picky eater, and a small eater, a person who does not have a very big appetite. I also don't really have a big appetite, and also, when you eat primarily animal products, your appetite is just not very big, and you can go extended periods of time without food. So for her, she had a lot of fast food while we were here, things that are typically easy to feed to young people because they're very palatable. She was willing to try some things. She tried miso soup, but she didn't quite like it, and she tried udon, but she didn't quite like it. We had the karage twice. The first time I think she enjoyed it, but the second time, even Jo could admit that it wasn't the best quality, which is unfortunate. So in the end, we wound up eating a lot of steak, or basically meat-based dishes. Jo tried miso kats and really enjoyed it, which I was happy about. And she was able to try eel. So we're in Nagoya, so the local specialty is hitsumabushi. So she was able to try like miso kushikatsu, I think. She was also able to try the eel for breakfast as well. And so she had a lot of that and she thought it was really good. I think that's the most important thing to try while you're here. But I just found it very interesting that, yeah, I don't think about it anymore because I've been here for so long, but yeah, they don't really scream Japan, I think, to people who aren't from here. She was expecting more fresh seafood and things like that, but like in terms of the three of us going out to eat together, how could we all be satisfied? It was a little difficult trying to figure out what to eat. But we were able to have fish one day. I had hokke, and she had salmon, maybe baked or grilled salmon. It was very good. So I wonder if someone were to come to Japan and they were really interested in eating, I don't know how to say, maybe more traditional Japanese food instead of what's popular now, what would you recommend? It honestly hadn't dawned on me in the beginning, like before she arrived, that yeah, I guess these aren't the best foods to recommend because I think they're Japanese takes on Western food, but what is like Japanese food? I really do wonder. What do you consider to be Japanese food? Alright, that is the end of the video. I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in another one. Bye!